this video that he put out, while it was amazing to watch and a big reminder of why we're all such big believers in Zion's talent, it really kind of laid bare the issues that Zion has with the Pelicans organization. What I mean by that is that he wasn't cleared to do this. He hadn't been approved to do this type of action, and he's doing it, to send some sort of passive-aggressive statement. And this happened back when he was a rookie, when he was coming back from his knee injury. He wasn't happy with how the Pelicans brought him back. He thought it was too slow, that he hated how they had him in little short bursts. And then this year, he sits down after keeping the injury completely private. He comes down and says in his only interview he's given in a year that he was going to be back for opening night. And then he has setbacks. And because he has setbacks, the team wants to be very, very careful. So they want to bring him back slowly. But he wants to go back faster. When he has a setback in midseason, he leaves the team for 2 months. This is just an example of Zion and the Pelicans just not having a healthy relationship when it comes to injuries. And because he's dealt with so many injuries, it's vital. And so, meanwhile, I don't know what the Pelicans' schedule was for ramping him up. Maybe they were going to clear him for one-on-one yesterday anyway. But from the outside, it looks like he put that video out and gets cleared to advance in his workouts. And so what's to prevent him in another week, if he hasn't been cleared to go to 3-on-3 or 5-on-5, from him putting out another video? It's just not an indication of a good relationship. And that's what has been bubbling under the surface of what could be a beautiful relationship, because this guy is so good, Stephen A.
Wendy, you are absolutely 1,000% right. I just think that you didn't provide the finishing sentence. And that is this. There isn't much of a relationship because Zion Williamson doesn't want to be there. Let's just call it what it is. He doesn't want to be a New Orleans Pelican. He wishes he was somewhere else. And that's why the focus should only be on Zion getting back on the court. The rest of the organization should be focused on Mr. David Griffin. Now, I like Griffin. I like him a lot. I thought that he did a damn good job in Cleveland. LeBron didn't win that championship by himself. Yes, he had the services of Kyrie and Kevin Love or what have you, but he also had an executive in David Griffin who worked diligently to give them the things they said they needed in order for this team to ultimately win a chip while still remaining highly competitive. Now, obviously, LeBron James had everything to do with that, but nevertheless, it's not like the cupboard was left bare and he wasn't provided any kind of support. So I was supportive of Griffin. I'm supportive of him in New Orleans. I think that he's a hell of a basketball mind. Sometimes, Wendy, and I think that you can appreciate this because I don't have to do any more what you do because I'm on TV all the time hosting shows, even though I obviously still have a lot of connections. But you are on it on a day-in, day-out basis, and you're on top of this. So I can say this to you, and you're going to appreciate this. David Griffin is one of those dudes. And I don't say this as a negative. I say this as a positive. He's got the ego of players. He got something to prove. He wants to prove all the time how gifted he is as an executive, as opposed to laying back and realizing he's already proven it and he shouldn't have anything to prove. Just do your job. He gets rid of Alvin Gentry after swearing up and down that Alvin Gentry is his guy. Then he goes the Stan Van Gundy route, and you only let him stay there 1 year before you got rid of him. Now you got Willie Green, and I'm very happy with Willie Green, and I'm not even judging him by this year because you had so many injuries, and Zion hasn't played the game, and Brandon Ingram has been unhealthy. You got C.J. McCollum there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put y'all on notice about C.J. McCollum, formerly of the Portland Trailblazers, now in New Orleans. The brother's averaging 26 a game in the 16 games or so that he has played. He's averaging 26 a game, on 50% shooting from the field and 39% shooting from three-point range. Plus, he's a consummate professional. He's going to show up. He doesn't wilt in big moments. And you put him on a court with a healthy Ingram, a healthy Zion Williamson, with guys who actually want to play and want to be there, with some of the other pieces that they have. I got news for you. New Orleans could surprise some people. Maybe not this year, but they could surprise some people. But the reality is, Wendy, Zion don't want to be there. And when he put out that video, it was the latest example of how they're not on the same page. He wants to play. He might be anxious to play, but he wants to play and averages 27 and 7 and win games and do enough to solidify his status as a young star in this league while always praying somebody will get him the hell up out of there so he can end up in a market like New York or L.A. or something like that. That's Zion Williamson. They can say what they want, but I've heard enough to know that this is what the brother would prefer. And so when you've got Griffin holding him out, you've got a situation where a player in his camp may not necessarily trust Griffin. And they might think you being held out because we want you to play next year, because the more you show now, the more pressure might mount to get me the hell up out of there, which is a problem that Griffin may not want to deal with. I ask you this question, Wendy. Has what I said made sense to you?
Yes, it does. And I mean, when, the fact that Griff was so aggressive at the trade deadline to go get C.J. McCollum, which is looking like a hell of a trade, is, I think, to prove that the Pelicans can be a playoff team even without Zion, and whatever that might get you. I also want to point out that if the Lakers end up with a top 10 pick this year, the Pelicans get it. And right now, they're right on that line.
That's right. They're
right there at the 10th pick. And they play them twice more. And they're going to be playing for that pick to push them not only back to 10, but maybe to push them to 11. The other thing I'm going to say is that this summer is a huge moment for Zion because he is eligible for a contract extension. And we have big decisions. Does Zion want to sign it? Is he prepared to commit himself to that team for another 4 or 5 years? Now, considering his injuries and that he's only played 85 games in 3 years, I would think you'd want to lock in a whole bunch of money for your career payday because it's going to be, a gigantic 9-figure contract. But how do the Pelicans negotiate that? Do they negotiate the type of extension that Andrew Bynum got or that Joel Embiid got? Guys who had injuries who were max players, but they're, yep.
Here's what I'll do. I'll throw it out to you, and you tell me how you feel about it. If I'm David Griffin, I sit Zion down, and I say, you want to be here or not? And the reason I'm asking that question is because, look, as big time of a talent as you are, I know, because you've only played 85 games, that it's very risky for us to give you a long-term deal if you ain't going to be on the court. And if you're not going to be on the court and you have trepidation about staying here, well, guess what? Work with me while we use your exceptional talent to market you for somebody else, and we can milk them for all we're going to get. That's the decision that I got to make. Because if without that, I'm not signing them to a long-term extension. Listen, you can't give money to do, this is what we've learned, if nothing else. Kyrie and Ben Simmons, above all else, have taught us this. If you can't commit yourself to playing the game of basketball, I can't pay you. I can't pay you long-term dollars. I can give you, like I said about Kyrie, man, I give Kyrie $50, $60 million a year. That brother's worth it. 1 year at a time. I would entrust him with a long-term deal to save my life. Because he can't be trusted to show up to work during the regular season.
Yeah, Stephen A., perfect transition for me
That's going to be the other interesting.
Go ahead, Wendy, finish your point. Yep.
Go ahead, Molly.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, that's the other big decision this summer. Kyrie's going to be a free agent, too.
Wendy, I am going to take it because we have breaking news regarding Kyrie Irving. We've got fresh sound from New York Mayor Eric Adams. We'll play that for you right after.